Hello, Eric, or AKA the old man. This is John Randall, Minnesota Vikings legend, with a message from No Time for Podcast Game. Their message says that they have been friends with the old man for over 25 years. He's a diehard Minnesota sports fan who just wants to see the Vikes win a Super Bowl before he dies.
They cut the hard line. There's no time. You're going to have to get to another exit.
See a set of keys around here.
No time for love, Dr. Jones.
No time for podcast.
No, I can't be bothered with that. I have no time for that sort of nonsense.
No time for mid-season check-ins with full-timers Peter Martin, Eric Kinsella, and part-timers Jason Edgar and Mike Schwartz.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I still have the option to leave the meeting.
It's always an option.
Could be messing with my privacies.
Touching your privacy settings.
Could be. Ooh, close.
It's right on my face.
Right on my face. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers for the beers or whiskey, whatever you got.
You got in easier this time, Schwartz.
No problem.
No problem this time around.
You made my experience better.
That's good.
I appreciate it. I'll rate you pretty high on this call.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with that green screen behind him.
Yeah. Involves Muppets.
I was thinking like a strip club just to get you in trouble.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, if you can edit Muppets into this feed, that would be sweet. I want Muppets in my background.
Beaker. The old guys.
Old guys.
Maybe some animal. How's everyone's Thanksgiving?
I heard there was some sweet potato controversy. That's all I heard.
Yeah, so that was a big topic of conversation on Saturday when I was at my parents' house, and again yesterday at work. I've not yet found anyone who's interested in pineapple with sweet potatoes. It was a bad combination.
Why they gotta go do that?
I looked online and I think there was a Martha Stewart recipe for it. So maybe somebody thought somebody dusted off an old Martha Stewart cookbook and decided to get fancy with it, and it was a failure. Those are my in-laws, though. So what do you expect?
The potatoes are sweet enough, right?
They're supposed to be, but when you stew them in pineapple, they turn out not so sweet.
Oh, what?
So it's just going to taste like very acidic potatoes.
Oh,
Weird.
It had the opposite effect that I would think it would. That's too bad.
Yeah, ours was really small. We just had basically my brother and my parents, my brother's kids, and so it was smaller than usual for us. Nobody from Bethany's side this year. Logan was back from college, so that was nice.
No excuse, right?
Yeah. Pete says, why can't I unmute myself?
Oh, mirror.
Let's see if I can unmute him. Ask to start video. Ask to unmute.
Peter in Zoom jail?
I don't know what's going
on. It says hold on. I'm taking a screenshot so you guys don't think I'm a total loser.
I think it just thought you're too handsome for video today.
Nope, that's definitely not it. Although I'm down a few chins, it looks like, so that's good.
Must be those filters.
Must be.
Must be those Snapchat filters.
You have like the deer, like the doughy,
the what?
The doe look, they get the deer nose, the ears. Sorry, that was so 2014. Yeah.
So Pete, I just saw there's something on TV right now about it's a special celebrating the movie Love Actually. Are you going to be able to record that and watch it after this? Or do you need to bow out early?
We can watch it on demand on the Spectrum app.
Okay.
2004 classic, baby.
Just want to make sure you didn't miss it. I know what that movie means to you.
Hey, I'm not the only one. Bruiser too.
I admit I've never seen it. I'm just trying to mock you.
Well, yeah.
Wait. How long you been married? 20 years?
Who are you talking to? Yeah, 20 years as of last month.
You've never been forced to watch that? And all that time?
That's a strong word.
I'm not
honestly, saying I don't like it.
I don't think my wife likes British movies. I think she has a problem with the accent. Like Harry Potter is about as far as she'll go.
Well, half the characters are Americans.
Don't tell her that.
Don't get her started 20 years later.
Granted, I think the setting, isn't it? That's pretty much all Great Britain or England, but lots of Americans.
There's a few. And a Portuguese woman.
Oh, well, I forgot about that.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it yet.
Are you scouting for your trip, Peter?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. I don't know what's going on. That must have been Dexter. But yeah, it's a good movie. I saw it in the theater. I forgot we got like free passes or something like that through years ago. I mean, for a person that's not big on Christmas movies, Give Me Love actually over most of them. Obviously not Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, but
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yep. If you're like a person that considers it a Christmas movie. So, but the wife was just watching White Christmas. I'm like, that's not my jam.
And we'll just run out those top 5 with Elf and what else?
It's a Wonderful Life.
No.
No. No, dear God. No. Not again.
I'm trying to play nice.
Muppets Christmas Carol that we were talking about.
Muppets. Oh yes.
Muppets
That was well said.
Has anybody seen Spirited yet? The Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds one? Oh, Scrooge. Scrooge is amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh dang.
Yeah.
That's a top 5.
Yeah. The bitch hit me with a toaster. Classic. Can we consider the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode? The longer episode, that's the Christmas one?
A movie? No.
All right.
Good try.
Well, I'm a big Always Sunny guy, so.
Hey, man. I just think of that instantly when anyone says that, mentions that show.
Oh, God. So good.
So it's been a while. How do we kick this off?
You know, one thing I forgot to do was listen to
the predictions.
Some of our predictions, yeah.
I was trying to remember. I think I had us 10-7, and I was the low guy after week 1. Yeah, at 10-7. So we're gonna blow past that, maybe.
Maybe.
Even I was at 12-5.
Even now,
when they have to go 500 against a pretty weak schedule, you're like, maybe. I don't know. Do we want to? I guess. Oh man, how easy is it to drop those in later?
Yeah.
Research is not our strong suit. Even if it's researching our own words. Predictions.
True.
But yeah, we're 11 weeks through, 12 weeks through, right?
Yep,
12 weeks through to the bye. 11 games in, like sitting 9-2, and there's either people that are off the deep end that they're amazing, or people that say they're total frauds, and then there's people in between. So you really got the whole spectrum to sit on comfortably. I'm more of a cautiously optimistic just because I pulled it up. Hold on here. I was looking at some stats that somebody put out there for the defense, and they're not what we would call glowing. They're 26th in first downs allowed, 26th in red zone touchdown percentage allowed, 27th in pass defense DVOA, 28th in passer rating allowed, 31st in yards allowed, 31st in yards per play allowed, 31st in completion percentage, 32nd in yards a pass allowed, and 32nd in pass yards allowed. So bottom quarter of the league for everything. Not a glowing, statistical predictor for success.
Well, and then I wanted to kind of comment on the comparison to, again, those rankings, Peter, like the actual offensive performance against that. So in terms of, you mentioned all of the awful defensive rankings that are there, that they're out passed by 500 yards. So that's roughly 50 yards a game, or 40 some yards a game. I think they're averaging giving up like 270 yards passing per game, and where they're coming in at 240 from Cousins himself. And then you look at they've been outrushed by, I think it's somewhere to the tune of 150 yards. Not as big of a discrepancy as the passing piece, but they are giving up like 115 yards a game. Pretty ridiculous to be able to give up 270 yards passing and 115 yards rushing per game. That's a lot of really great individual performances by their opponents. Um,
And you got to realize too, it's not like we're playing the '84 draft class at quarterback. I mean, they're playing some shit quarterbacks, which doesn't again give you warm fuzzies. But that being said, they're they're winning and they're getting timely turnovers. So they've had some injuries the last couple of weeks, so hopefully that'll be people get healthy. Mostly like Darisaw, Dantzler, Evans, but it's been a really weird season because you have these exact same games last year and they're literally probably 2-9.
Right. I mean, that's the other piece I think that's important to note is there hasn't been one game where our opponents are in garbage time racking up stats. Right?
No.
There has not been one game with garbage time for us or them. So
if you don't count the Cowboys game where the whole thing was garbage time.
Oh, right. Yeah. But I mean, not for our opponents, right?
No,
I mean,
we just
and the Philadelphia game too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they just got absolutely steamrolled in those two games. But I think it's important to note too what they are actually doing right. They're +6 in turnovers. They actually are out punting. They're out kick returning. They're doing things on special teams and on being opportunistic, at least on defense.
And extra points when they really need them.
Yeah. So Joseph has missed 5 field goals, and I think 5 extra points, and I think that ranks number 1 amongst NFL kickers. He's also missed 5 field goals this year. All the field goals though are north of 50 yards, so I'll give him that one. But those extra points, it's pretty
really
clear
bad
that
though too. Like
no one's okay with the extra
Joseph's
point.
defense. In his defense, though, the extra point he missed against Buffalo, if he had made that, we probably would have lost that game. Just the way things played out afterwards with, what happened. The Vikings probably would have kicked a field goal to tie it instead of trying to go for the touchdown to win it if they had that extra point in the bank. And then Buffalo would have gone down the field and kicked a field goal to win it instead of tie it. So kudos on Joseph for knowing he had to miss that one.
The other 4, not so much.
Yeah, the other 4, not so much.
But long story short, it seems we're getting outperformed in all 3 phases of the game, and they're still winning. And it's not a massive turnover differential. So, like, you can almost say, like you said, Schwartz, they haven't had their best game yet. They haven't put together a whole game at all. So, you either think that this is who they are and it's going to catch up with them, or they'll, eventually they'll put a game, put it all together, even halfway together, and keep it up.
We'll say this too, that is, again, going with the legacy of the Vikings, it always feels like we committed more penalties throughout the season than our opponents. I feel like there's a history of that. We are doing much better than our opponents when it comes to penalties and penalty yards per game. So I think that's really interesting too. Time of possession's like basically a push. So, there's some things there that are rays of hope, but the defense, man, holy smokes.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm no football guru, but it seems like they just play prevent until the 4th, and then they pin their ears back, and that's when they get the key turnovers. Was when they actually turn guys loose a bit, and maybe actually blitz. It just seems like maybe
I think
they've done that in the first 3 quarters too, once in a while.
I think they had to know that especially in the secondary, personnel was going to be a big problem this year, and they were really going to be relying on their top 2 draft picks, neither one of whom has done anything this year. They've both been out with injury, and then Dantzler going out with an injury too. So just the fact that they're garbage, but they're playing 4th string guys, and it's kind of the best we could have hoped for, all things considered.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that showed up on the play and defending Dawson Knox in the end zone? The dude that was a former Bears practice squad guy. What the heck is his name?
Was that Duke? Duke Shelley?
Yeah.
Duke,
yeah.
Shelley. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, he walked off a hero for one play in that game and then crashed to earth in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
He has been absolutely smoked.
Since then.
Yikes.
Yeah, he seemed to have had to play a lot more too since that game.
So how do you guys feel though?
If their biggest weakness is the secondary, well, look at their remaining schedule. They've got Mike White this week. They've got Jared Goff after that. They've got the corpse of Matt Ryan after that. They don't have good quarterbacks left on their schedule until the playoffs.
Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. Rodgers, if he's
Jordan
will he
Love.
even be playing then? So yeah, it's they with their terrible defensive secondary, they could still go 4-2, 5-1 the rest of the way.
Yeah, but just bodes. I guess I'm trying to think in the.
I'm sticking with 10-7.
Yeah, no,
Might be
interesting.
getting me to
Yeah,
move.
I mean, if they're locked into the playoffs, basically, right?
No.
So I think the question is, what do they do once they get there? I mean, I think they have a good chance of keeping the 2 seed, just because they'd have to, what is it? Who's behind them? San Fran, I think, is behind them 2 games.
Right.
And Dallas 2. So Dallas obviously has a tiebreaker, but they wouldn't get ahead of us because they're behind the Eagles. So, barring a total collapse, they have the 2 seed. And what does that mean for them? They're not a great matchup for a team like San Fran. San Fran is the team that always seems to hurt them for some reason, even with Garoppolo.
But I think their playoff matchups are actually looking pretty good, because in the first round they'll probably get Washington or the Giants or Seattle at 7.
Yeah.
And then maybe, who knows, maybe Seattle does stick with San Fran, and Seattle ends up number 2 or number 3. I mean, maybe they get Seattle in the second round. That would be sweet, because then you can get right to the NFC Championship without having to play Dallas or Philly again, or San Francisco. So they could have a pretty easy path to the NFC Championship game, and then they're going to lose by 40 in that game, no matter who they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, they could, if they host, that'd be a miracle. B, their odds are way better. But I actually don't think Dallas would crush them again. And I'm
really?
kind of the. I'm normally a pessimist. Like the Eagles, absolutely, but I don't.
What
I don't think
what in that Dallas game? What in that Dallas game gives you hope for a rematch?
Oh man, everything went wrong. I mean, it's 65,
Exactly.
66. Pressure rate percent, like double what Mahomes had in the Bucks Super Bowl loss, and he was running for his life the whole game. And Tomlinson should be back, which will help plug some of the holes. They'll be healthier, hopefully, on the, defensively. I don't know. I just don't think it'd be that bad.
The teams that have stuck with Philly and Dallas still have been able to run the ball, and we didn't try to do that in either of those games, really.
Well, Philly, didn't they get behind right away?
Yeah, but
they kind of abandoned it because they got down like super quick. And then same with Eagles or the Cowboys, right? Like turnover instantly. We're like down 10 zip in like no time.
But yeah, going in that Dallas game, like even the Dallas defense was like, how are we going to stop these guys from running the ball on us? Because we haven't done it all season with anybody else. So I don't know.
Well, we were talking about that. I think we were exchanging texts about that during the Dallas game. Was like the ball control that they had showed for like a brief moment in the first quarter, when I think the game was like 3-3. It looked like things could have gone, somewhat in that direction. Like they had a little bit of momentum to show that you got to wear that defense down. They're all a bunch of 23-year-olds on that defense. I mean, and they're all good.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you do that other than to keep them on the field as long as you can, right?
Especially guys like Parsons too. Like you really limit him if you can. Again, no expert, but when you got a guy that's specialty is sacking the quarterback, not giving him a chance to do that is a really good way to keep him ineffective. So yeah, they'll have to play better. The offensive line, I mean, I think they had 2 injuries, right? Because Dara saw one out and somebody else. I think we had 2 backups in at one point. So I don't know. Like, I'm not normally like a super optimistic guy with the Vikings, just because I'm 45 and all I've known is pain. But I don't think
probably 35 years of that 45, right?
But I don't feel like Dallas is the team that's just gonna steamroll you. I'd almost be more afraid of like the Bucks, honestly. Even though
the Bucks are terrible.
I know, but that it's a team that like if they turn around, someone will get help. Although Worst has gone to now. He's out for probably. I haven't heard if it's official, but I suppose their defense or their offensive line's hurting. But Brady, like the Vikings beating Brady is just something I don't comprehend well. And they still have a decent, pretty good defense, good wide receivers. It's just a team that like could thrash us randomly like the Cowboys did. And I keep waiting
for Brady to melt down mid game, like what's his name from the Royal Tenenbaums, Luke.
Luke Wilson.
What the hell? Luke Wilson. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name. Just start taking off his shoes and his socks and just in the middle of the tennis match. I keep waiting for Brady to just have the meltdown like that. His life is falling apart. His team sucks. He gave up his family for this mediocre season in Tampa Bay. I'm just waiting for that total meltdown to come. I'm waiting for him to cry mid-court like Pete Sampras. It's gonna happen. And if it happens against the Vikings in the playoffs, that would make me so happy. Yeah, I don't think the Bucks are going to win more than 7 games in the regular season, and that'll still be enough to win their division.
Yeah, they'll win the division.
That's a team that, again, I think the offensive line is going to hold them back. But if there are injuries there, because they lost 2 guys for the season before the season started, I think but I don't know. It's just a team that veteran been there and could randomly just throw out an ass whooping.
So they're just choosing not to this season up to this point?
I said randomly. Like they're the team that could do it.
Okay.
I'd rather face Dak Prescott than Tucker. That's all I'm saying. Although Bowles he's kind of appealing as a
I think we may need to start betting on more of these games if that's honestly what you think about Dallas and Tampa. But nevertheless.
I didn't say it's going to happen. I'm just saying, don't be surprised.
Pete's still shell-shocked up by the ghost of Tom Brady, I think, more than anything.
Well, we've never beat him, so yeah. And we've never been close. No. And it's not like he still doesn't have weapons, but just remember, I think everybody is surprised that Vegas put Dallas as the favorite against us. They called that one, and I'd be curious to see how they would rate us against the Bucks, even at home.
It's amazing the potential to have all the teams in one NFL division make the playoffs this year. It's a very real possibility with the NFC East.
Is it because of the extra wild card, right?
The 3rd spot.
Yeah, Washington would be 7 right now. So right now, all 4 of them are in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Washington, I think, might end the season better than the Giants.
Yeah.
So the Giants might be the team that falls off.
Yeah,
depending on the Falcons or
the NFC South.
I think it'd be somebody from the NFC West. Well, it could be Seattle.
Seattle's in the mix.
Yeah, Seattle's in the mix, but not the Rams or Cards at this rate.
So in most,
I think the Lions getting into it would be more likely than Atlanta at this point. The Lions are playing really well lately. That's all. They could go on a run.
Their best chance is to actually win their division yet, which is still possible. The NFC South, ladies and gentlemen, where the winner probably won't be 500.
Yikes!
But
so being the number 2 seed in your conference right now through 12 weeks, and being on the average from what I've seen in power rankings, somewhere around a 7, that's pretty amazing, right? To say that you are the 2nd best team in your conference, and you would think that you'd fall somewhere around 4th, but you're number 7.
Because you got 2 ass whoopings, and
right.
You pulled every other game out by the hair of your ass. So,
and the Los Angeles Chargers are averaging about just below the Vikings on power rankings. They tend to be the next team in many of the power rankings at I
think the 5 and 8 or something, or 5.
They're 6 and 5.
Oh, they're 6 and 5. I was thinking they're under 500. Huh.
6 and 5.
Well, they don't deserve that. That team's always overrated. People love Justin, and for his career, I don't know if he's not even a 500 quarterback, but he's still going to get like a $250 million deal, I'm sure, after this year. So kudos to him.
Well, it's hard to believe that the Vikings are going to probably be favored in all the other games unless something goes completely AWOL, massive injuries or something.
Yeah. It's a weird place to be in. I'll just put it this way. I don't feel like I did in 98 where, just massive swag, massive confidence that every game was in the bag.
Even 2009.
Or 09. I mean, 09, well, I think I was more confident in 09 than I am this year.
Oh, more confident in 09?
I think so.
Oh, for sure. No, that's what I mean. I feel like 98 and 09 were our 2 real years in the sun.
Yeah.
Where it felt really, it felt rock solid, performance wise, right?
Yeah.
We were going to make it happen. And in 2017, it was the back half of the season. I think that, made a lot of people feel confident, but clearly when you have your backup quarterback navigating, there's always that piece in the back of your mind, like, ooh, I don't know if we can make.
Unless you're the Eagles, and then you just go on to win it all.
Yeah.
Well, your MVP candidate quarterback is out for the season, so yeah, must be nice. But no, I'm pleasantly surprised how the season's gone. Do I think they'll win? Get out of the NFC? I don't. Do I think they're a top 4 team in the NFC? Probably-ish, but there's not. I don't think there's any game walking into it where I'm putting money on the Vikes, regardless of the circumstances or anything. I'd be hesitant. I feel there's just still some level of implosion factor, but they still do seem to have a un-Viking-esque knack to pull it out and to not like totally shit the bed, which is awesome. Something we haven't seen in a long time, I think, where it's not total like, well, doom and gloom every time they get behind in the fourth quarter or whatever, or they have to, have one last drive where they hold up the team, the opposing team from scoring, and the team just marches down and always scores. Like that seemed to be the case like the last 5 years. So I don't have that immediate sense of dread in one score games now. So got that going for me, which is nice. I don't know. What do you guys think of signing Blankenship? Is that going to mean anything? Is that going to do anything?
Backup kicker,
Mm-hmm.
practice squad kicker.
Rec specs.
It's just, I feel like it's just screwing with Greg's head at the very least, right?
Well, and is that bad? I don't know.
I'm not saying it. Yeah, I think it's just it's a flex, right? To some degree.
Yeah, it's like, dude, if you shit the bed one more time, you're gone. Like we can't. We have aspirations of actually doing something.
Blankenship does seem like if this was a movie, he would be the quirky relief pitcher the team trades for at the deadline, who carries them through to the end of the season. So I think there's a lot of potential comedy coming if he takes over that job. he's got the specs, he's got the glasses, he's got the name.
I don't want comedy though.
if he takes over and just starts nailing everything from 60 yards out and can get the team excited, that would be great. But then the flip side of that is if Joseph misses a kick this week, they cut him and promote Blankenship. What happens if Rodrigo misses a kick the week after? You can't go back. You're stuck with him. So he could also be just as bad or worse.
There's a part of me that was. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say for comedic value, his glasses would definitely add to the season.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was hoping that the Vikes would make an offer to the Raiders for Carlson, try to get him back in purple. But I have a feeling if they somehow did that, like he would immediately start choking and
he just reverts to form. Right
yeah,
away.
like just totally regress back to those first 4 weeks he was a Viking back in whatever 2018, 2019. I forget what year that was.
18.
No.
But I wonder how much of that was Zimmer just taking his confidence as opposed to the situation.
Yeah.
So without Zimmer, maybe it wouldn't be an issue.
I mean, even with Cousins, like, his numbers are the worst he's had in years, but like he's playing way more confidently and successfully somehow in spite of that. His touchdown to interception ratio isn't what it was before. His quarterback rating's way down, but we're winning and he's pulling out fourth quarter drives with like a pro, literally every fourth quarter, 6 fourth quarter comeback wins, I think this year, something like that. So, he's walking around, balls in the wheelbarrow, just.
And he's taking chances with JJ too, like throwing him balls that he probably would have never thrown years ago, the last few years.
But yeah, but I think part of that's also like Zimmer not saying like don't fuck up.
Right.
No, totally.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it is having a guy that could potentially be like a top 10 all-time talent doesn't hurt to throw to, because that guy is just a baller who gets his hand on any ball and has a better than 50-50 chance of getting a throw up like that. But you still got to trust your quarterback to just wing it every once in a while and not just crucify him if he does screw it up in doing that. So kudos to O'Connell. I mean, I don't know if you guys, I always look for the O'Connell locker room speeches now on Twitter, after the game, after W for sure. I don't know how often they put them out there after the 2 losses, but it just seems like it's a totally different vibe than it has been for years. And, everybody seems like they had run through brick wall for KOC. So love seeing that. I think that's there's some value in having a coach that you want to play for. So, but
it seems like in the past seasons, the only reason to watch the post game speech was to hope to see some dong in the background. But now you actually get something from the words.
knock on wood.
Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Look out for Vashante Shenko out there someday.
Yep.
Bring him back to give the rally speech at the end.
Yeah.
Would he be wearing anything?
I don't know.
Hanging D there.
Yeah.
Loincloth.
Well, just like, on Favre and, him showering with his Favre compliments like crazy.
Yeah.
That was his thing after the game, and also doing it naked, basically.
Good times. So do we have any, do we want to try to document our predictions for the rest of the season? Do we want to get that on tape and
not reference it ever again?
Well, I think I said 13-4 last time, and I'm looking at their schedule. If they go 4-2, then I'll be right. But they could go 5-1. But I'll stick with 13 just to be safe. Maybe they'll rest everyone the last week of the season.
That's what the only thing I think that might keep them from going 5-1 is if they lock in the 2 seed. They most assuredly they're going to at least bench them for like half the game, right?
Because for all intents and purposes,
let Jordan Love look good in the game at Green Bay, so that the Packers are more likely to cut Rodgers or trade Rodgers, and then we get Jordan Love twice next year. What a bonus!
Well, I did read, if it's accurate, that there's $199 million in dead cap space if Rodgers is cut for next year. $99 million.
How many players is that?
I mean, what's the cap is 175, 180? I don't know. So I don't see that being an option. Now, if he retires, maybe it's different. But
what if he's assassinated? Does he still count against the books? Not trying to encourage
no insurance takes over.
Well, any paid bonus would be prorated, right? Because that's usually, I think, a lot of that's like extended for the life of the contract, but you accelerate it up if they're not on the roster. So he wouldn't technically be on the roster. So there would be some, probably still be, some impact. Part of that's just so people don't try to actually assassinate Aaron Rodgers. That I'm hoping that, because that family
just wink.
No. But no, that'll be an interesting storyline too. Not so much for next year unless he retires, but certainly for 2024. And then by then, Jordan Love will be up for an extension too, because that would be like his 4th year, I think. Right?
Already at that point.
Yeah. So that would be his 4th year. And it's like, okay, well, you've seen this guy. You're going to extend him or let him play out the year and then try to lock him up if he kills it. So good luck, May. That's all I got to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll say 4-2. I'm pretty sure I was at 12-5 for the year. So I'll be, close. That's not bad. But come playoff time, what do you think, Edgar? What do you think happens?
I think if they're healthy, if the offensive line's healthy, and if Dantzler's healthy in the secondary, they win their first round matchup. If they get San Francisco in the second round, that's going to be tough. I think it's winnable, but it's I wouldn't favor them. And then I think they'll just get blown out in the championship game, no matter who they play.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting too, which is not awesome, not knowing, but not having that feeling of supreme confidence. But maybe they'll surprise us.
I do think it's really funny. Like years past, the Vikings or Cousins specifically, they put up great stats, but they just don't know how to win, and that's the media message: is this team doesn't know how to win. And now the stats are down, but they're winning every game. So what's the media message? Oh, well, they're not as good as their record says. Well, what is it? It's got to be one or the other. You can't just use the same argument against them. I don't know. It could be a team of destiny. That's what I'm sticking with.
Team of destiny that gets smoked in the conference championship.
Yeah. if they close out with 13 or more wins, I'm going to get T-shirts made and I'll distribute them for the playoffs. The purple Team of Destiny shirts.
Are you sticking with your Kirk for MVP prediction from draft night?
That's going to be tough just because he's got a couple people ahead of him. But if he plays extremely well, like these last 6 games, if he puts up big numbers, he could be top 4. I think Allen's taking himself out. I think Lamar Jackson's probably taking himself out. So it's just really hurting Mahomes at this point.
Yeah, they're pretty much 1 and 2, aren't they? And I don't see anybody getting past Mahomes personally.
Not the role that Mahomes has been on.
No.
Mahomes too. I mean, that's like what I was saying. His stats are down from what they've been the last 2 years, but the team overall is winning and just having a better record. And then he's going to win the MVP, but we don't say, "Oh, his stats are down." We just say, "Oh, he's winning." Whatever. Media's hypocrites.
He's on pace, I think, for a second 40 touchdown season. Only a second. He's had like 38 and 39. Never had 40 outside of the 1 year.
But
so, he had 50 that 1 year.
48, I think.
48. Okay.
If you have Travis Kelce to throw the ball to for 17 games, you should have at least 40 touchdown passes. it's like the cheat code. It's just not fair having him on the field.
Will he catch 20 touchdowns this year?
He's already at 15, isn't he? Something like that.
I think so. Well, he has 2 3-touchdown games.
Doesn't he have a 4? I thought he had a 4 too.
I thought it was just 2 3s, but
Well, see, now you're gonna make me look it up.
Yep, look out.
Makes for good podcasting.
We need a stat person.
Get on, Stat Geek.
Can we get that in the budget?
Yeah, we'll get that in the budget next year.
I thought that was Jeremy's job.
Yeah, guys.
Did anybody invite him?
For football talk?
Yeah. He only has 12. I thought he had more. That's interesting.
Well, who would have thought the most productive rookie would have been the punter? I mean, really.
Oh, the Vikes?
Yeah.
I mean, this draft class has just been poop. Situationally, all things considered, from a
injuries and stuff. Yeah.
Did you just call it poop?
Yeah.
That's poop. Okay.
Yep.
I love it.
Ingram's got the highest pressure rate of all offensive linemen or guards. I forget which. In the NFL.
I think he's really more of a run blocker than a pass blocker, but hopefully he gets better.
Yeah. The first and second round picks both out for the year. Caleb Evans has been decent when he plays, but he's out and hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who else
exactly.
They got, right? I mean, it's been awful. Like, legitimately, yes. The only above average productivity you've gotten from a rookie is your punter. So this whole quasi GM of the year thing is a little premature for my liking, despite the great, some of the great moves he did, because you have to include the draft. It's your most fiscally responsible way of adding talent to your team. And it's not proven to have worked out yet at all.
Yeah.
I mean, training down multiple times. I don't know.
Not believing in Johnny Munt enough and going out and getting Hawkinson.
I love the Hawkinson trade. I like the other free agent pickups. I mean, Smith was excited. I was super excited to get him. Super excited to get Za'Darius because I know what that guy did to us. And I'm like, yes, but if he's healthy, let's bring him in and turn him loose. And he's going to be motivated to kill Green Bay, which is like just a double benefit. So all that stuff, all those free agent pickups, cool, awesome. But the draft has to count. And that's like an F so far.
Even though your first and second round picks are done for the season.
But they didn't do anything before then.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really have a chance. I forget which way it is, but he played special teams every game until the game he got hurt. And then he got hurt literally like to start that game that he started or played in on outside of special teams on defense. Like, what are you doing that this guy's not starting from day one? Your first round pick should be starting on day one. If not, I think you're doing something wrong. That should be a pick unless it's maybe a quarterback, there's no other position you should draft. I don't know. I don't think that's a bad expectation or high expectation.
7 rounds of cornerbacks. cornerback.
Well, if they re-sign Bradbury, then they can dedicate all of the next draft to defense. Maybe pick up another receiver along the way, but just pick defense for the entire draft and just hope some of them turn out.
They need a wide receiver too, because Osborne hasn't been great. Thielen's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
They need to do something at wide receiver.
You look at the 21 draft. I think at least 2 of their top 10 picks are no longer with the team. They were cut. Both before the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
So 2 of them lasted for 1 year.
Well, Surratt was one of them, wasn't he?
It was Mond and Smith Marset.
Oh, Emir, yeah. And he's in the ether now, right? He got cut by the Bears, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that Surratt guy that flex linebacker who's like, well, he's going to need time to figure it out, who they draft in like the 3rd or 4th round.
like Chaz
Surratt, yeah. Yeah, I think they literally cut like half the guys from last year's draft. So that was neat. That's I think more of a indictment of the last year's draft than Quezzy and KOC's decision making, because I don't think those guys were ever the right picks. But
it would have been Spielman's last.
So you what?
Would have been Spielman's last.
Yeah. Well, the last 2 drafts they had a few good picks, obviously like Jefferson, but just 1 or 2 guys that were difference makers. And then you see, whether it's Eagles just killing it, Chiefs, the Jets this year just killed it with, Sauce, and then of course he got hurt. The Brees Hall, a couple other guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe not Zach Wilson so much last year, but that's a different story too. But yeah, so I'll say, going back, I'll say playoffs. I'll kind of agree with Edgar. I think we either get to the divisional or conference championship, and they'll probably lose, and in a probably spectacular fashion. I don't expect a nail biter. I expect a complete collapse. It is kind of funny to me that every game, when they kind of come close to blowing it or whatever, O'Connell's like, I need to be better, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, dude, you can't say that every week. You're really saying you're not good at your job when you're like, I need to do better. Like 1 week or 2 weeks, cool. But you've been saying it now for 11 weeks.
That's just what you say to the media when you don't want to throw your players under the bus. I'm sure in the front office, they know what the real problem is. They just don't want to embarrass individual players to the media. So that's why O'Connell says that. And yeah, maybe he could find a better way to phrase it, but that's kind of what you expect a coach to say when they want to say nothing.
Or just a different way to say it.
In today's NFL, especially, I think that makes sense. Like you're saying, Edgar,
Schwartz is saying millennials can't handle criticism.
I am saying that they cannot handle criticism.
But in theory, the team is 9-2. Like, you should be pretty happy with some of your results here and there. Not every week saying, I could have done better. But yeah, Wyatt Davis was in that draft too, and he got cut.
He got cut. Yeah, that was half the draft.
I just was looking that up. Wongu was in that draft.
And Darisaw.
Was it like the Raiders that literally don't have anybody from like 3 years ago on their team? Something like that? Any draft picks?
That's crazy.
What do you think?
I have much the same feelings of them getting to the playoffs and probably winning that first round. And I just hope it's a close game after that. Like, I don't want another blowout. I'm tired of getting them blown out of the playoffs. Been there, done that too many times lately.
When I was talking to Steve the other day on Thanksgiving, we made a pact that if the Vikings get to the Super Bowl, we're gonna spring for tickets. We're gonna go. Neither one of us are real confident that's gonna happen, but we're gonna try. I don't even know where is it this year, in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Okay.
Which seems to have a lot of Minnesota transplants, so tickets might actually be pretty hot there.
Yeah.
Unlike when the Eagles and Pats were here. Well, maybe I'll join you. You gotta let me know.
I don't know. You're cursed. It might be better if you stayed home.
Am I still cursed? Okay, is that?
Well, you went to the San Francisco playoff game a few years ago. They got blown
so did old man.
Yeah, he's not going either.
Yeah, I'm not going either. I'm going to Schwartz's house.
Even if you have to come to my house. We're 2-0.
Get rid of the family, Schwartz.
Yep, they're out of here.
I'll give you hotel money for them, whatever.
Dabutski.
Maybe send them to the game, and then we can just be at your place.
We will ruin my house. But it will be fun ruining my house if they win.
Oh, yeah. We'll torch it. You got insurance, right?
Oh, we're all good.
If they win, just join the riot downtown. You're close enough. You could make that work.
Right. Guys, we could take public transportation to the riot.
Whoa.
It's highly accessible at my house. We don't want to leave a trace. Right?
It's true.
We don't want to lose a car in a parking ramp.
Why? We're having a nice conversation, talking Vikings, and you got to bring it.
I actually brought that up to my daughter a few weeks ago as one of those life lessons a father imparts on their child. When we were downtown a couple Saturdays ago, and as we were parking in the ramp, I was explaining to her why you take the ticket with you, because sometimes people lose their car and they have to come back the next day and not remember where they parked.
For real. Struggle is real.
Anyway, what do you think, Schwartz? What do you see this season, the regular season, and then playoff?
He feels non-committal.
There's something to be said for that. I too think of 4-2 the rest of the way. I was a 12-5er like you, Peter, for the preseason pick, or week 1 pick, really.
Yeah.
I would say I think 4-2 the rest of the way. 2 road losses is my prediction. I think we go 3 wins at home. The remaining 3 home games, we win 1 on the road. Not sure which of those games, because I don't know about Detroit. But I feel like we'd have a chance against the Packers, a pretty good one, right? And maybe again, if it's garbage time, by the time we get to Chicago, to rest players, because we're not, there's no chance for us to overtake the Eagles. I'm going to say 4-2 the rest of the way. 2 road losses. That's what I predict.
And playoffs?
Yeah.
Playoffs, sorry.
No, you got to finish regular season first, but then
I'm already suppressing that. I think a first round win if they can get a home playoff game first round, which looks like it's probably likely. Again, if they can do what they've been doing so far, but we all know what happens when they've been a 2 playoff game team. And you get to the championship game, just the odds are just so stacked against us for our prior performance. Because you're going to have to play the Eagles. I mean, God, what if they do have to play the Cowboys? I just don't like the thought of that. The only thing that would be going for us there is we would get a home game in the NFC Championship if we played the Cowboys potentially, right? Yeah. Depending on how the Cowboys finish. So I see us losing the NFC Championship game again. That's my prediction. And based on the performance of the season, it's probably going to be a 1-score game.
If they lose,
but how many missed field goals?
If they lose the NFC Championship game and it's only a 1-score game, I'm okay with that. I'm more worried that they're going to get blown out in the championship game.
Look at our last 5 championship games. They've either been blowouts or 1-score games. Going back to Washington in '87, those 3 close games and then 2 blowouts. That's the way they've gone. It's just ridiculous.
Blowouts were like 30 points.
Oh,
not like a 2-score.
Not 14.
2000 was the ultimate embarrassment, of course.
Oh, 41 donut, yeah.
I mean, but both of those games were on the road, and we got to play inside for one of those close games on the road, which is more our zone, right? And the Washington game, I mean, that was a different era in the NFL. It really was. So
yeah,
it's tough.
I remember like the fake, like, oh my gosh, maybe we can do something, like feeling I had inside when the Vikings scored a touchdown on their first drive against the Eagles. And I'm like, well, maybe, after 41 donut, whatever, right? You're like, well, we're effed. I'm like, no, maybe this is it. No. It was immediately ripped out from underneath my feet.
Yeah, because I think the Eagles scored twice on offense. And then I think just a horrific interception. That was like, I mean, they were driving. I think they got, over midfield, and it's like, all right, come on, boys. And then just rip your guts out. Interception they ran it back for 40 yards and didn't score, but whatever. Yeah. You just knew they were going to get back there on offense and score again.
We knew what was going to happen.
Right.
We've seen that movie before.
Yeah. Poor Case Keenum. Jesus.
And I still laugh at the people that said, oh, you guys should have kept Keenum instead of Kirk. No. What has that dude done since, too? Like, I'd give Kirk $16 more million a year than Case got 4 years ago or whatever, and deal with what we're dealing with and go through that again.
Yeah, it's crazy that conversation happens anymore at all. Still see it, though.
Yeah, like, no, backup is a backup. Kirk might not be the top 10 guy in some people's minds, but he's not below top 20.
I have to mention, too, that if they make the Super Bowl, I don't know if I'll be able to watch. I should probably go to the game and then just stand outside the stadium or something. Like and
just vomit. Just keep vomiting with every crowd. You vomit, not knowing what's going on.
Wow, that would be really something.
I think I might just watch it by myself, or even the NFC Championship game. They get there, I'm like, we've never seen him win. Old man was technically old enough to have seen it happen. They've been like 2.
January of '77, right? That was when they played the Raiders in the last Super Bowl.
Old man might have been 3, depending on where it was. But yeah, I mean, I just want to see him win that. Like, honestly, at this point, like, fuck. It's like when it's like when the Red Sox beat the Yankees to get to the World Series in '04. It's like there's people that are, that have never seen this that are octogenarians.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's our path, and like I want that path broken, just so I can feel like that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal should be winning the Super Bowl, not winning the fucking NFC Championship game.
But we have the best all-time record, regular season and playoffs, for a team that's never won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and the bag of chips will just give you a bag of chips and a dry mouth. I don't know. It doesn't mean shit.
No, it doesn't.
Like, I'm glad I'm not like a Dolphins fan, right? Where mediocrity and whatever, or God forbid, a Jets fan, where they won one. Nobody under 70 remembers it. I just like those franchises are just so morebound and depressing to me. Maybe not the Dolphins as much. They had some okay years, but
the Lions.
Of course.
Jets fans look at Vikings fans though, and they say, "Well, at least we got one. The Vikings don't have any." They probably think we're the sad ones.
If your grandparents weren't alive to see it, to me, it stops mattering. It's like the Bears fan. We won the national championship in '32. Great, we're the black people in the league. Well done. And everybody had 3 jobs because they didn't make enough playing football. No, this doesn't count. What have you done modern day, like the last 50 years, when television was around? And but yeah, like I just want to win the fucking NFC Championship game. Yes, I want to win the Super Bowl, but like there's a progressive hurdle to team success, and we're just at this point where we are in this. We can't even believe conceptually like winning that NFC Championship game. I want to see that happen, and not that I don't want to win the Super Bowl too, but like I can't put the cart before the horse. Just give me the NFC Championship W, and maybe I'll start believing that the next prize is actually attainable. That's my soapbox.
Well, luckily for you, we have a team this year that somehow just knows how to win close games. So it's all in play.
Yeah, like if there's anything that gives me hope, despite all the horrible statistics and, defensively and whatever, it's the fact that we have a team that so far, outside of the 2 blowouts, they've persevered every other time in tough circumstances outside of the Packers game, right? That was never really in doubt. But 8 wins that were competitive in the fourth quarter, whether we had to come back or preserve the lead, whatever, they did it. And there's something to learning how to win those games. So maybe I'm just optimist, but I don't think anybody believes that.
It'll be nice to be surprised if it happens. Do you feel more optimistic now than after week 1 when it felt like anything was possible? Or has it kind of gone the way you thought?
I feel dirty.
Yes and no. You feel dirty?
You feel dirty with these wins? Dirty in general? Got to take a shower after every game?
Oh, it's been oh man. It's been emotionally draining.
Every game.
For me. Every game.
Literally the only game that wasn't was the Packer game, because it was just never really seemed to be in doubt. Ever since then, whether it's getting our asses beat or holding on tight to win a game that was back and forth or super tight, it's just been a gut check every game. I can't imagine being a player, considering how much I feel watching the games as a fan. Like the Bills game, oh my God, I just want to throw up. I think I actually texted that in our group chat. Like I feel like throwing up.
Oh.
And it's every game's been like that. So I would say, the long story short, yes and no. Yes, I feel better because they seem to have a grit that we haven't seen in a long time. No, because I'm really, 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 really worried about the defense not improving. And that would just be a major Achilles when, shithead McGee throws for 380 yards. So
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it just, whether even last year, not the totally different season, right? But you got like Cooper Rush throwing it up our ass. This year it's not so much Dak. Who was the guy that just did it? Oh my gosh, brain farting.
Daniel Jones.
Oh, Jones. Yeah,
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Or Mac Jones, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking down the road.
He's had a career day against us. Sweet.
Yeah. They look pretty terrible all year. Yeah.
And who has looked really bad this season.
Yeah. So I'm glad he got a nice confidence boost.
But in theory, we could start putting teams away. Would you be more optimistic if we, for the next 4 or 5 games, just started crushing people, bad teams?
If we beat the Jets by 20 points, I'll say, okay, this makes more sense. If we beat the Lions by 2 touchdowns in their place, which for whatever reason, the last couple of seasons, we've just really, they just seem to take it to us. Yeah. And then you come back here and you beat the Colts and the Giants both, even if they're 1-score game. The Giants game is a 1-score game. I'm fine with that. You got to beat the Colts by more than that.
No.
Just here, the Colts tied the Texans this year. They can't figure out who their quarterback is.
I don't think the Colts can throw the ball more than 15 yards downfield. So even if our cornerbacks suck, we only have to defend 15, yards.
Problem is we give everybody 15 yards. So that's part of the problem is like everything's underneath. They're just getting torched because they give 10, 15 yards.
Well, it's because the other quarterbacks can throw the ball deeper, so we have to give the cushion. Against Matt Ryan, you don't have to give that cushion. So hopefully the coaches are smart enough to figure that out.
Hopefully.
And Mike White is just a giant question mark. The Jets game and the Lions game scare me just because, again, Mike White, who knows? And the Lions have been playing so well lately. But every other game, I think they should easily win.
No, I don't even know who's a receiver anymore that's healthy for the Giants. They seem to just lose guys left and right. I've never seen a team that had so many injuries at wide receiver for like half a decade. I think Slayton's back now. But yeah, it'll be I don't know. I'm pretty confident they'll be 4-2. Pretty confident they've advanced past the NFC Championship game, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised in that one. One can always hope.
Do you think they start doing something other than the shell defense? Does KLC go to the defensive coordinator and we got to start blitzing? We got to start doing something.
Just doing something, even bump and run, something, press, whatever. Like stop. Like the book is out, man. You just take your time. They're rushing 4, and you'll get your time to pick them apart with the cushion that the guys get. Again, I'm a total lay tactician from an NFL or a football perspective, and even I see like this is what's happening all the time. They don't get beat over the top because they don't let that happen, but they're just getting killed underneath.
But does Mike White, Jared Goff, and Matt Ryan, do you not apply more pressure to them? I think it's silly to think that you wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones.
Like they get into Mac Jones. Like, why not just try to get that, that dude, get him on the run a little bit and scare the shit out of him.
Or rattle him at the start of the game. And
Smith and Hunter have combined for 15.5 sacks this year. I mean, it's nothing to say that we've been short on, applying pressure when it's needed, but let these guys just go to town.
And they lead they're the highest tandem for quarterback pressures too by quite a bit.
Yeah, that's right.
So that just tells you, they're still getting, some other quarterbacks still getting time or whatever, getting out of it. And a lot of that too is because they just have the 4 and then that quarterback's running like, oh my God, Hurts. How many times did he take off or Allen and pick up a first down? Because we just had nobody underneath to stop that. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't think White's a runner. Goff isn't really a runner. If Fields is playing, that would be interesting because Fields could run for a shit ton the way we have been playing defensively when we play the Bears. But again, that team, I don't expect that game to be consequential anyway. But,
especially in the dead of winter, they could just run the ball the entire game.
Well, and hopefully we get Dalvin Tomlinson back soon. I think be nice to get him on the field. That would help for sure somewhat with the run game. So,
did you see that Philly picked up Linval?
Yeah.
And Sue, right?
Yeah, that same week. Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, those two have joined the team.
Yeah. And then Xavier Rhodes is on the practice squad for the Bills now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I don't know why I get all these past Viking updates, but for some reason they just show up in my Twitter feed all the time.
Rhodes open. Sad.
We must be pretty salary cap strapped if we can't even get Rhodes to be on the practice squad at this point.
We're pretty low. Yeah. I'm sure Blankenship probably capped. I'm mad they never got Sue. He didn't sign for a big deal. We need help there.
Yeah.
Why did you, especially knowing that you'd be taking him away from a team that needs help there and the team has demonstrated to have a stronger team right now? I don't know.
So pretty consensus about playoffs. Yeah. NFC Championship game, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them losing their first game, but
I mean, if this was July and we were talking about the Vikings winning 13 games and at least one playoff game, I think we'd be a lot more excited than we are right now. This season, I don't know. It just seems like we're depressed, and it's like, no, we get a rookie head coach in a rebuilding year, and we're going to win 13, 14 games and at least one playoff game. That's actually amazing, but it's really not the way. It doesn't feel amazing.
yeah, that's pretty astute. Wait, what did you?
I mean, is
Kansas City
that just the
amazing.
price of middle age, or what is this? Just the price of being a Vikings fan?
I think part of it is because we don't feel like there's a chance, a legitimate chance of them advancing to win the NFC Championship game. That's part of it for me. It's like 2019, 17. What year was that? Crap. God, that's going back away now.
So let's say,
17.
Let's say hypothetically they beat the Eagles and they beat the Cowboys, but they lost weird random games to like the Saints and the Cardinals. Would we think going into the playoffs, oh, sure, we could beat the Eagles and Cowboys? We did it earlier this year. Or is it just because those are the teams we lost to, we think, well, that's the brick wall. We're not going to get past
Well,
them.
it wasn't just that they lost. Like
They were embarrassed, yeah.
like ran off the field and immediately. And again, I don't think that would happen again with the Cowboys. But I have zero confidence that it wouldn't happen again with the Eagles.
I think just the conspiracy-minded person would say if the Cowboys get to the NFC Championship game, they're not going to lose that game. The officials, the league, they will all want the Cowboys to win that game.
Well, it depends.
TV ratings.
If the Bills somehow come out of the AFC, you could not.
The Cowboys Bills. Another Cowboys Bills.
No, you couldn't get a better matchup than the Vikes Bills. You could not get a better matchup.
Yeah, but it's money. The Cowboys generate money.
They're gonna
Worldwide money.
People are gonna watch them no matter what. Like, what more money are you gonna get than everybody watching the game? Like half the world watching the game.
Well, let's just say right now, the Houston version of No Time for a Podcast, those Cowboys fans are not nearly as depressed sounding as we are. And the league pays attention to shit like that.
Yeah.
I just worry. I just worry if it comes down to something like that. And again, I love to pretend the NFL is rigged, and I love to find evidence in the games.
Pretend.
I just think if I just think if the Cowboys get that far, there's no way they're going to lose that game.
Yeah, we just gotta. Yeah, I mean, get Philly to play them earlier in the playoffs.
Well, I think that's pretty much locked in. Philly and Dallas are going to be 1-5, depending on whichever one is which. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Vikings can fall out of 2 unless there's a major catastrophe.
Yeah, at this point, they'd have to fall behind. Like I said, they'd have to fall behind the Niners.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if Dallas is 5, I don't think there's any way Dallas doesn't beat Tampa Bay at number 4 or whoever comes out of the South at number 4. So that's Philly, Dallas, presumably in the second round, unless number 3 loses to number 6, and then you'd have Dallas, Minnesota, and number 6 versus Philly.
Mm-hmm.
But again, who knows?
Yeah.
And then whichever team makes it is probably going to end up losing to the Chiefs because I'm sure Mahomes generates more money than anyone else. So
once the game's set up, it really doesn't matter because
the Chiefs Cowboys Super Bowl.
Oh, that would be just all worlds right there.
All right. Well, I got to bounce. Let me know if you guys want to try to get together for a game soon.
I thought we were just watching in silence and by ourselves from now on.
Every game? Certainly the NFC Championship. Yeah.
I thought it was every game.
Just fingers crossed at all times.
No, you said Super Bowl, Pete.
Super Bowl.
No, but I think, God forbid we get there, but even if it's a championship game, I might just hold up and watch it on my phone randomly and
on 6-inch screen. You just
with a garbage can next to me, just puking, puking up your nerves,
like Team America style.
Yeah, just continuous stream of yak.
Can we get 2 minutes of World Cup talk from you before you go?
Ooh, World Cup. Yeah. Where's Uruguay?
And scene.
All right. Asses. All right. Later, boys.
Can't thank you for all the time.
Take care, everybody.
Alrighty.
Bye.
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 There's no time for last requests.
Ain't nobody nobody got time for that.
Look, Betty, I've got no time for games today. Now,
there's no time for a bench test. Beat him up.